Is it episode 134?
Is it not 136? I want to say.
Oh, you're right. Goodness, I'm all over the place. All right.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah, I hit a little coachman there. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 136th episode of the Poorly Planned Podcast. My name is Benedict. You may know me better as BHL Hudson. Here we talk about movies, TV shows, a bunch of nonsense. With me, as always, is my friend, co-host, and disturbingly bare-skinned buddy. And by bare-skinned, I don't mean naked, because I realize that's how that sounded.
And disturbingly naked attraction man.
I mean non-tattooed, which we'll get into. We'll get into the deep and horrible disappointment that you caused thousands of people this week. But before we do that, just want to let you know that there are time codes down below. We're going to do some mini reviews, some news, and we're going to talk a little bit about Doctor Strange 2. And by a little bit, I mean I think a lot, because I got some thoughts, and I'm assuming
I got some thoughts on the Mr. Doctor.
And yeah, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell button, all the good stuff, follow, all that. Now, shall we talk about Tattoo Gate 2022?
Let's. Yes, it was Tattoo Furious, as they call it. I won't lie, I was nervous going into it. I was oh my god.
Just a quick reminder, you were going to get a poorly planned podcast tattoo in runic symbols on your arm.
Exactly, which I am still getting.
Let's go.
I want it to be clear. Still on, but the first attempt was unsuccessful. And now let me break down why. So basically, I sent you a little voice message explaining some of it. I will explain in further detail now.
Please.
So, we found a place in Glasgow that looked quite good. Like, you usually check, like, the Instagram and, like, recommendations from people and stuff like that. And it looked like it wasn't the most expensive, but it looked good for what the money was worth. Because I didn't want to go to a place that was too expensive, but I also didn't want to go to a place where it would be too cheap and I'd get a shit tattoo, you know? So I was like, okay, we found a nice, like, middle ground here. And then we texted the people, and he was like, oh, yeah, I can definitely do this for you. It'll be about £90, which I was like, that's pretty cheap for a tattoo. Like, that's
not bad.
It's quite good. Anyways, so then, and my girlfriend also wanted to get a tattoo. So we're going to go on, like, a little trip together to get tattoos. Then we head to Glasgow, where this place is. And then we show up to the place. First of all, the moment we show up, completely abandoned building. Like, everything was, like, renovated away. It was, like, a completely just empty storage unit almost.
Good start.
I was like, okay, this is great. Could have told us that they'd moved. And there's just, like, a small, like, A4 sign, not on the door, but, like, you had to, like, look through the glass door on the wall inside. It said, yeah, we've moved. It's like, oh my god. We were already like, okay, kind of annoying. It was close by, so we, like, walked over. Then it's supposed to be a walk-in tattoo place, which basically means that, like, whilst you're doing, like, your tattoos of the day and stuff like that, people can come in for consultations and, yeah, just, like, chat and talk about tattoo ideas, right? They're, like, usually the door's open, just, like, free walk-in. There's, like, 2-3 people on staff at every time. We get there. The place is completely locked. We, like, had to ring a doorbell. Then a very strange man, let's just say. He looked very strange. He was dressed in, like, what appeared to be, like, a bathrobe, but it also was, like, he was wearing, like, slippers as well, and we're like, God, what's going on here?
This sounds like so many signs that you're about to get murdered.
I know. I was like, is this? I looked over at my girlfriend, because she's got a few tattoos before. I was like, is this how it usually goes? Like, before we even, like, met the man, she was like, no, this is strange. We're like, okay. Could be he's just a weird guy, whatever. But he gets out, he unlocks 3 different locks in the door.
Of course.
Lets us in. He's got an old, like, 1960s Star Trek episode playing in, like, the background in the lobby. But then all of a sudden, the episode ends, and we're just, like, on the, like, the title screen, and it just goes... Just, like, that noise in the lobby, like, really bass boosted. We're like, what is going on? It was, like, so freaky. And we get there. We're the only ones there. There's no one else there. He's the only guy working, which is also a bit weird for a tattoo shop, because usually you've got, like, a few people working, like, taking tattoos whilst there's a receptionist. You know,
yeah.
It's kind of like... They make us wait 40 minutes, even though there's no one else in the shop. Then when we think he's finally ready, we're like, oh, yes. He comes towards us. He's like, I'm going to go out and have a smoke. And he just goes outside and sits on a step and starts smoking a cigarette and having a coffee. We're like, my guy, we've been waiting 40 minutes and there's no one else here.
Did you book a time before? Or?
Yeah, we booked a time for 3:30. And then he got to us at 4:15. We're like, thanks, man. Then he's like, all right, who wants to go first? I was like, I'll go first. We go down. And then there's like tattoo artists, usually they've got like good photoshopping skills. So they can kind of like mend and bend the tattoo to like fit the person's like body type and like will and make it suited to the individual.
Right.
What this guy did is that he printed an A4 piece of paper with the runes just printed on it, like really fat and poor quality. And then he decided to just like, I was like, oh, I want them a bit thinner, because they were basically like 3 or 4 centimeters thick, and I was thinking like max 2. I was like, I'd like them a bit thinner. He's like, he sighed. He goes, that's gonna be really difficult. I really don't have the time for that. I was like,
oh my god,
you don't have the time for that, my man.
He's too busy having a smoke in his loafers, obviously.
I was like, what is going on? I'm paying you to tattoo something on me that'll be there for life. I don't want to compromise because you don't have the time.
So was it like a shitty printer where like it just made like kind of like just extended it a little bit to the side?
It just extended it a little bit to the side, and it looked like obviously like it printed with tattoo ink because like you like put some liquid on and then like it'll kind of like rub off so they have like the outline of what they need to tattoo. But otherwise, it just looked like a very like 480p print of like this text, and I was also like. And he also hadn't put the 2 bands I wanted at the top and the bottom. I was like, oh, I also want the 2 bands. And he sighed again. He goes, oh, I didn't know that. I was like, I told you. He goes, that's going to make this really difficult. And I don't have the time. And it's also like, that's putting those 2 very thin straight lines is one of the hardest things to tattoo. I was like, is it? Is it really? And then he said, yeah, that's basically going to take your tattoo from about 90 pounds to, I'd say, around 400. I was like, what?
Oh my god.
I was like, what is going on? And then I was like, yeah, I don't think we've got the time for that today. We'll probably book in next week. We left. And then we've left a horrific Google review.
Good. But
and we'll never come back.
I feel like you should have left a horrific in-person review with a smack to the face.
The thing is, I was very scared because he was like, I don't know, he could attack me with a needle and just tattoo like bastard on my forehead or something like that.
Just write penis really big on your chest.
Just draw a penis. The needles also looked very unhygienic, and it was not a good time.
So I'm gonna assume we're not gonna shout out this place on the pod. No. Hey, yo, shout out Greg's Back Alley Tattoo Shop.
Shout out Greg's Butthole Tattoo Artist.
So named for the quality of the establishment. That sounds like you found like a tattoo artist who was expressly trying not to work. Like he was doing everything in his power to not give you that tattoo.
He was being very difficult with it.
Even like
that noise.
The place having
heard like an evangelic like coming from outside. I don't know if the mic picked it up.
It's Greg's aura coming to get you. I don't know why I assume his name is Greg.
But yeah, so then not to fear, I've looked at other places now. There's one here in Sterling that actually looks quite cool. Might do it there. A little bit expensive. And otherwise, I'm going to Spain soon, and I will get it done in Spain for far cheaper, but same quality. So I'm kind of debating between the 2 options. But at the very latest, I know we've said this before, and I know we promised that last Friday it would be it. But at the very latest, this summer, I will be donning a Poorly Planned podcast tattoo.
Let's go. So I would say just generally keep an eye on the Freddy Instagram, because we don't have a specific date, but it'll pop up there. So at Fidalgard, you want to keep an eye out for hopefully not butchered and or damaging to your health Poorly Planned podcast tattoo. Can I ask, how did you even, this sounds like the most like back alley, like you walk in on accident. How did you even find this place online?
They've got like 4,000 followers on Instagram. It got like so many good reviews.
Really?
We're like, okay, this must be like a good place. And like the tattoos they post on their Instagram are quite nice. So we thought like, okay, this... Damn. I mean, they've got a lot of different tattoo artists. So maybe it's just the guy that day. But it was very strange. Also, like the moment I walked in, he told me, oh yeah, you sent me way more runes than I thought it would be, so it's going to be slightly more expensive. I was like, okay, I don't know how that works, because I sent you the runes and you told me the price, but...
Like, how can you didn't send him extra after time?
I didn't like, after each day, I was like, you know what? I'm going to add another letter to the Poorly Planned podcast. It's now not just the Poorly Planned
Yeah, that's how you started. It just started as the
You started with he was like, oh, I can do this.
I can nail that shit. I don't even have to put on my clothes for this one.
I'll just say my fucking bathrobe for this one.
Goodness, well, I'm glad you didn't get it in the end at that place.
I was quite like, I was quite nervous because I was like, this is not a good vibe in this place, because he was also like getting annoyed. I was like, I really don't want to do this. So like, I was quite happy that my girlfriend was with me, just because like she was like a bit more experience in that field. So it's just like, yeah, let's just get out of here. I was like, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I just said, dip. I was like, Greg, come here. Dip. And just sprinted out.
And you just tackle him to the tattoo table?
I tattoo bastard right across his chest.
You tattoo
dip. I tattoo on his forehead. Hitch.
I forgot about Hitch.
You're one of the lucky ones then.
Well, yeah, keep an eye on the Fidelgard Instagram for sometime this summer, a Poorly Planned podcast tattoo.
Yes.
In terms of stories, I don't have anything that good. I just went to Portugal this past week.
I don't have anything enjoyable at all. I just went to a really nice place.
No, I mean, it was one of the best holidays or like little vacation things I've ever had. It was amazing, but I don't really have anything that. I ate an octopus, which was pretty good. But
just right out of the water.
Yeah. I grabbed it with my bare teeth. But no, it was an excellent time. I did get called an idiot on the plane by a really grumpy old man, which was a little amusing.
Okay, what did you do?
Let's hear it. Literally don't know. Like, I was sitting in the middle seat, and I think like maybe I like accidentally leaned on him when I fell asleep or something. I didn't think I'd done anything, and then as we were getting up, like, I took my seatbelt off and it kind of like slightly went on his leg, and he like threw it back at me, and he just muttered like, "Idiot!" And I was like, I was so confused that I didn't even react. I just looked at him. I was gonna say like, "Excuse me?" Like, what?
My man, what the fuck did you just say to me?
You want to fucking go? But I was just like,
do you know who you're talking to right now?
he like mutters, "Idiot." I just backhand him as soon as the word comes out of his mouth. But yeah, no, I don't know what that was about. I was like, whatever. But yeah, no, amazing trip. Yeah, that's really all I gotta say.
Nice. How warm was it in Portugal?
Really, not like excessively hot. Like, it wasn't unbearable, but although I did get like mild heat exhaustion on one of the days, but you know, it is what it is.
Although I did pass out multiple times.
I almost died.
Yeah, it was bearable, but I collapsed on multiple occasions.
But no, it was generally really nice, especially like in the evenings and mornings. It was like a perfect temperature, and then on the beach it was so nice. Yeah, just a great time. Your boy got a bit of a tan, and a bit of a heat exhaustion.
Apart from all my horrific medical issues, it was a good time.
So yeah, I have days to live, but the temperature was solid. Yeah, no, it was good. It was good, and the water was a good temperature. I mean, it was cold, but it was, it was like, it was refreshing. So
I mean, I lost 3 of my toes to frostbite, but you know,
I'm just like screaming in pain from the searing heat, and then I run into the water and I instantly freeze to death. That's Portugal for you.
Describe Portugal in a few sentences. Extreme heat on land, ice in the water, death everywhere.
But no, it was, yeah, honestly one of the most beautiful places I've been in a long time. So yeah, no, couldn't have asked for a better trip.
Damn.
Should we just jump into some mini reviews, news, and a little cheeky topic?
I think we should. Indeed.
All right, let's see. Mini reviews here. I'm sorry, I realize I'm kind of like slightly off and I'm sort of slurring my speech a little bit. I was up at like 4 a.m.
It's heat exhaustion.
It's still with me.
That's not worn off yet.
I was up very early today, so I'm a little bit out of it. So I apologize in advance if I say some very weird, offensive things.
Very controversial things.
Okay, do we want to talk about Moon Knight? Not really. I mean, it's an old meme, but let's move on. It was good. It was good show.
I finished it as well.
Oh, you watched Moon Knight?
I have.
Oh, okay, let's talk about it a little bit. What do you think?
Let's talk about it. I really liked it. I thought it was... Let's talk about Moon Knight. It's an old meme at this point, honestly.
No one fucking cares.
only second-rate podcast talking about Moon Knight. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was probably the best Marvel show so far, I'd say.
Okay.
That or Loki, I enjoy.
Yeah.
And I'll say one person who I really didn't like was Layla. I really enjoyed. I don't know. I felt so like I didn't feel sorry, but at the same time, I just wanted to hug Steven, especially like in the first 2 episodes. I was like, oh my god, he's so like just endearing.
I thought you would enjoy the Stephen Grant. He's a very
Stephen Grant
lovely man.
So good. Leia skaters. Like Jay, like, and that like twist that he'd been like talking to his mom the whole time. I was like, that hit hard. I was like, god damn, this is kind of twisted.
Yeah.
I think I made the mistake of calling Ethan Hawke's character Kevin Bacon's character for a while, and then
that makes sense.
Identical. And then I realized that it's the Hawkman. It's in fact Falcon.
We had talked about it being the Hawkman on multiple occasions, but you know,
I know
it is what it is. Maybe some of that heat exhaustion has gotten to you.
Yeah, I think you just through osmosis it's gotten to me. But I really liked it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was. I definitely think it was one of the better ones. I think I really liked how weird it was. Like, it was a bit more experimental and weird, and like especially at the start when it's setting up the mystery. I thought that was really interesting. And
I thought the setting up of the mystery, and then in the spoilers, but in the like last 2 episodes when they're in like the psychiatric ward, I thought that was so
the
like,
asylum stuff was great.
Yeah,
I thought that was really interesting and creative, and I didn't expect it at all. Yeah, I think that stuff really elevates it, and I think Oscar Isaac's performance was fantastic. But I think it does a couple of those middle episodes, like 3 and 4 and 5, they do a little bit of like the sort of cliches of like the superhero genre and the MCU stuff, which I guess I should expect at this point from the MCU, because like it is, you know, an MCU show, so it's gonna have some of those like beats and those moments that we're so used to, but some of that stuff. And the one thing that really pissed me off that I talked about in my review, but like an angry sad man, was the moment at the end when they're basically bailed out in the final battle by this, you know, other personality. Do you remember that, where they're like Ethan Hawke to get him, and then like that annoyed me just from like, because I know they set that up for later.
Where it's like, what's Kevin Bacon doing on the ground? I was like, what's happened here? I was like, yeah, there's definitely like another person. Yeah,
and I just felt like that was a bit of a cheap way to get out of like a bit of an unsatisfying way to get out of the final conflict. But in general, I also really like the horror stuff, like the Tomb Raider-y episode where they're going around that tomb and there's like a mummy chasing them or whatever. I thought that was really great. And I really liked the costume, and the action in the final episode was great. So yeah, I mean, I think it was a little bit of a mixed bag, and I think they could have, if they had some more episodes, they could have fleshed out some stuff more. But generally, I did definitely enjoy it. Yeah,
I'll say it's also, I think the Oscar Isaac performance is probably one of the best acting performances in the MCU so far.
Yeah, I
think it was like very, very well done, especially like the last 2 episodes. He really like got into it, as they say, and it was like I was in there like, god damn, this is powerful stuff.
Yeah, you're never taken out of it like you like, oh, Oscar Isaac's doing like 2 different performances. Like they feel like 2 very distinct different characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was sitting there thinking like throughout most of it, like, who is actually the real person? You know, like is Mark made up by Steven or vice versa? Yeah.
So good stuff overall.
I'd say so.
I do a very quick one here. Just the last season of Better Call Saul's been going, and I think I'm 1 episode behind, but I've been staying up to date. And Josie did send a message to me on Instagram where he pointed out something that I had noticed in one of the later episodes where, without spoiling it, there's an epic climactic moment for a character, and it's sort of like the whole show's kind of been building to this moment. It's a great scene. It's a fantastic scene. I think people know, if you've seen it, what I'm talking about. However, there is a moment in it, completely unintentionally, that took me out of it a bit, where he's like, he's saying something and he's being really cool and like, oh my god, he has the moment. He goes like something, what a joke. And I was like, oh my god. Like, no, you wouldn't have.
Saul.
And so that was a bit amusing, but so far, yeah.
All you just heard in your ear was, one joke.
It's great so far, and it's really wrapping up some stuff, and yeah, just an excellent show.
Nice, good stuff. The other day, I rewatched a classic, a very, very good movie called American Sniperthon.
Ooh.
Little Bradley Cooperthon. It's so good. I've seen it before, and it's one of my favorite action / like war movies. It's so good. The Cooper performance is insane. Like the fact that all of it's based on like a real story and a real dude makes it so much more like gripping, I think. Like Chris Kyle, like the world's most deadly sniper. And then have you seen it?
I've not, no.
Do you know of Chris Kyle though? Like,
no, I mean kind of vaguely enough.
Do you mind if I spoil?
No, go for it.
It's such a like twisted ending because like this guy survives like 4 or 5 tours. He kills like 180 some enemies, stuff like that. Like avenges his like fallen brothers and stuff like that. It's insane. And it gets home, gets past all like the PTSD and stuff like that, and decides to start helping out veterans. And like now that he's done with the war stuff, he's like, oh, I'm ready to come home. And he starts helping out veterans at home to kind of like get over PTSD and stuff like that. And then in his home country, he gets killed by a veteran he was trying to help.
Damn.
It's like, so like at the end of it, he just like, it fades where he's like off helping a veteran. And then it just said, and the first time I watched it, it took me like so off guard because I didn't know the actual story. It just ends with Chris Kyle was killed that day. I was like, oh my God.
That is dark.
It's some dark stuff, especially like if you know that all that happened. I was like, but I like a very, very, very good movie. I recommend.
Well, in a very different vein from American Sniper, I have a double feature
Canadian Sniper
of a Gosling duology here, which I did in fact over the past couple of weeks watch The Notebook and La La Land.
You wouldn't.
So The Notebook I've never seen before. La La Land, I think the viewers know, one of my favorite films. I will say just I hated The Notebook deeply, and I need to I do need to give a little bit of we tell little anecdotes, but we don't generally get into like that much of our personal lives here. But I just a little context to explain why I hated it. Basically, my girlfriend and I have had to break up because she, life circumstances, and we agreed like a long time ago that it would happen. She's moving and whatever, and it's a whole thing, and we've known it's coming and it's fine. It's obviously sad, but basically, The Notebook is one of her favorite films, and so she was like, I really want to watch The Notebook, like about a couple of weeks before, we had to say goodbye, and I was like, I think it's going to make us really, really sad, so maybe we shouldn't, and
okay.
And so it was like, no, let's watch it. I was like, okay, fine, how bad can it be? And I hate it so much, because it was so sad, it was so deeply depressing, and like, and especially our like circumstance of, whatever, like, kind of impending, sadness and saying goodbye and stuff. It was just, at the end, we both just like were crying and then like laughing because we were crying. We were like, why did we put ourselves through that?
Oh my God, you idiots! Why would you do that to yourself?
And then of course a few days later we watched La La Land, another film about like kind of tragic love that doesn't work out in the end or whatever. It's like,
oh my God,
we do this to ourselves and we know what's coming.
Gosling has been tearing at your heart, you absolute fool.
It's also kind of funny to watch those back to back because they're very like, there are definitely some similarities in them. It's like, did Gosling just really love doing The Notebook and he wanted to like just do it again? But
or do you want to do a little tap dancing in there as well?
But I think on a more like objective note, I think The Notebook, like, it's a good movie. It's very, it's super cheesy, but that's kind of the point. There's a great Gosling moment where he says, get in the water. What I didn't know, have you seen The Notebook?
No.
So what I didn't know, I thought it was just the Gosling Rachel McAdams story, but then it's framed around spoilers for The Notebook, I guess. Do you mind if I spoil it?
I guess not.
Well, it's framed around like Rachel McAdams' character in an old person home in later life, and then it flashes back to her like youth with Ryan Gosling, and there's this guy who's reading her this love story, and it turns out the guy in the old person home is Ryan Gosling, and she actually has dementia later in life, and he's trying to make her remember what their love was, and it's so sad, and like, and then there's a scene where like
so depressing.
She comes back and she remembers him, and they dance for a little bit, and then she forgets him again, and then she's like freaking out, like, why are you touching me? Get away from me. And then in the end, they both die together in a hospital bed. And I was like, I was just watching. I was like,
oh my god! I just got chills weirdly enough.
I was like, what? I thought it was just gonna be like a cheesy little Gosling, McAdams, fun little get in the water time.
The best description of Gosling, a cheesy, fun little Gosling.
But then it was just like old people having dementia and being sad, and I was like, why is this happening? There's also slight amusement in the fact that James, what's he called? Anyway, Cyclops from X-Men is in it, and he gets just absolutely. I mean, I don't want to use the word cuckolded, but there's not a better word for it.
I don't want to use the word absolutely destroyed by the little cheesy goose.
But yeah, so I mean, it's a good movie, but it just made me very sad, and it was a tragic time. But good movie. And then La La Land, again, great. And a little more uplifting, I guess. No one dies in a hospital bed, I guess. But yeah, no, great film. I forgot how much I love it. It's a really great film.
It is a really good film. I haven't seen it in a while. I should rewatch. It's very, very good.
Yeah.
Another one that I watched is the old anime Princess Mononoke. I don't know if you know of it.
Oh, yes. It's one of the Studio Ghibli films.
I forget, but I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, quite good. It's very, very old. I think it's from the early 2000s / late 90s. Decent story, but I get it's a weird mix because the story and plot itself is very it's very akin to a kid's movie, but then it's also quite graphic in some ways where he just shoots a guy's head off. It's flies off blood everywhere. It's very strange because if it was that with a more, I don't want to say grown-up plot, but a bit more a bit of a better plot or more intricate plot, I think it would be a lot better. Or if they didn't do that and just focus more on it being a kids movie, I think they're just it does a bit of a weird middle ground, which a lot of Japanese animation does, in fairness. Also the fact that it was quite old, I enjoyed it. It was a good one, and I can see why it's a classic, but not my favorite. Won't lie. It was good, and some of the visuals were very, very good. I can imagine, especially for the time when it came out, it must have been mind blowing. But good time, but not insane. Just nice to have watched.
A solid time. Yeah, it's a pretty famous one.
Time.
That's a good one to have under your belt. I'm actually out of mini reviews, by the way.
I feel like I've got one more. Ooh, I do have it.
Okay.
Cue the intro.
Okay. All right.
I should have done that for the Mononoke, but
probably,
whatever. Yeah. But cue it. You better cue it. The last time you haven't cued it. I listened back.
I'll definitely cue it.
He's done a fish face. I don't think he's cueing it. I have, in fact, finished the second season of Demon Slayer.
Ooh. Mugen.
I'm so impressed you remember the Mugen. Yeah, so this is after the incidents on the Mugen train.
The legendary moments.
The legendary moments on the Mugen train. Where they're now together with a new Hashira, which is one of the highest ranking demon slayers, and they're out against one of the highest ranking demons. Stuff ensues, but I have to say, this one, I don't want to sound like a nerd, but this one really just kind of breaks the boundaries of what animated series are supposed to do, because the budget and effects in this are beyond movie level anime production. It's insane.
Damn. It's sweeping action sequences, visuals.
Especially in the first season, there's the action scenes were always good, but they'd be very short. Whereas this one, in this 12 episode arc, about 5 or 6 of them is one long straight fight scene.
Damn.
And it's insane. It's insane. Where they do the classic anime where it's they do flashbacks or cutbacks to different things, but meanwhile throughout that entire thing, a super intense fight is going on. And it's just brilliant music, and the animation is just the best anime fighting I've ever seen.
Damn.
So good.
And you've seen a lot of anime fighting.
And I've seen a lot of anime fighting, but just so beautiful and intense, and it's the kind of thing where in Haikyuu, the volleyball show, they sometimes do seasons of one game where one whole season is just one game, and you're sitting there you're sitting through it, you're loving it, but at the same time you're it could be cut down a few episodes. Like the entire season doesn't have to be based around this one match. Whereas you sometimes get that with an anime fight as well. But in this one, all 5/6 episodes, you're just sitting there into it and gripped, and it's just it's insane. It was so good. So I finished that. I was so good, and now like they released the trailer for season 3. Very hyped. And until then, I started watching a bit of Tokyo Ghoul, which is also another famous anime.
It's also what you're known as when you travel to Japan. Oh no, here comes the
Tokyo Ghoul. Which Tokyo Ghoul, probably one of the like darkest animes I've ever seen. There's a like 2-episode long torture scene where a guy just like, where basically these like ghouls are kind of like monsters that are created, and then like this guy becomes half ghoul, half man, so you're kind of like in between the two worlds. But they have regenerative powers, so like if they lose a limb, it'll grow back. And this guy's basically tortured by repeatedly getting his limbs cut off, and then they grow back, and then just like doing that. It's some nasty stuff.
Yum.
So gross.
So anime are going strong.
Anime are going very good.
Well, we now move to the newsums.
We
We had a bunch of news, but I think I'm going to cut some of the less interesting stuff out because just for time. But there was like a Tom Hanks news that was really nothing. I just included it because Tom Hanks is amusing sometimes. But
go on. Now you've said it, you cannot not talk about the Tom Hanks.
It was just because there was a headline that was just a funny phrasing. It said like Florence Pugh joins because his new movie is called like Here, but so the headline was like Florence Pugh joins Tom Hanks in Here. And it just sounds like Tom Hanks has just like lured someone into his house or something. Join me in here.
Tom Hanks is just sitting in a rocking chair, door open. Why don't you join me?
Yeah, actually, I don't think it was Florence Pugh. But anyway, yeah, so that's the Hanks news. First piece of news, and this one, a little bit of a continuation on a piece we talked about last week, but the reasons for Justin Lin leaving Fast and Furious 10, aka Fast X, have been allegedly revealed. And I think the typo I've done here in my note sums it up very well. Justin Lin left Fast X because of Ben Diesel, which I assume is what he called him as he was leaving.
Ben Diesel. Goddamn.
So
it seems like Diesel is causing so many uproars in this franchise.
So allegedly, from what I have read, and of course the studio said it's just because creative differences between him and the studio, whatever. But apparently,
little they know that Ben Diesel is the studio.
There were like creative differences with Diesel, who wanted to. Apparently, there was something about this a while ago where like he has this veto power for like action sequences or something, where like if he doesn't win the fight scene or something, then he won't do it. Like he has to win every fight he's in or something. That's not specifically what this is about, but I imagine similar vibes could come into that. But apparently they wanted to like rewrite it, and they wanted to polish up the dialogue. And Diesel was, being a little bit difficult, apparently, according to a source. It was after a major disagreement that they left, or that he left.
I see.
And now they're saying maybe Louis Leterrier will do it, who I believe is the guy who did The Incredible Hulk, so big win, ? So,
good luck, Diesel.
Not just The Incredible Hulk, also Now You See Me and The Brothers Grimsby. So, in good hands, this
mixed
film is. But yeah, so I just thought that was just a Vinny boy getting on the nerves of everyone, it seems.
Come on, Diesel. You can't expect to, that's the most one-dimensional thing that you have to have your character win every single fight.
Yeah, that was the thing that came out like a couple of years ago. Apparently, also The Rock was in on that, so we don't want to bad talk Dwayne. But apparently there was something in their contracts where like neither of them, or not even that they can't lose, but they have to give like equal damage in a fight. Like if they get punched in the face, someone else has to get punched in the face by them as well or something.
I see.
Like I'm
pretty sure The Rock lost a few battles in. Didn't he have to jump out a window to save himself from Statham?
Well, that's the thing, but in that scenario, okay, fine, I'll lose the fight, but it's actually because he used a bomb, and that's kind of cheating in a fist fight, and I was saving a lady by jumping out a window or whatever. So it's sort of, again, if you look through these movies, I'm sure you can find that they never actually. That's why these are not that interesting to watch. But yeah. Anyway, excited for Fast 10? ?
I don't even know if I'll watch it, honestly.
Did you see the Avatar 2 trailer? The Way of
Water. Best believe I did. Now, I'm so hyped.
Can I just say, crazy experience for me. I saw it before it was released online in the
Me too.
cinema for Mr. Doctor, which I didn't.
Me too.
I didn't think they could do anymore, but I was genuinely
They did.
like. Also, yeah, my girlfriend, or I guess not my ex-girlfriend, who I saw it cries in Gosling.
Cries. Gosling sounds like a weird language that was lost ages ago.
But she was like very confused. She was like, "Why is this so weird to you?" And I was like, "Because I do a movie podcast. I should have seen. Did I miss it? How did I just see it in the cinema?" So
No, yeah,
craziness.
I read up because being an avid Avatar fan, I read
course.
up on when the hell is this trailer coming out, and it said it is rumored that it may come out in cinemas the same day as Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
So then I was like, wait a minute, in cinemas. So I looked the day of the Doctor Strange release, and then 2 days later, I was like, okay, like the day I was watching it, which is 2 days later, I was like, okay, it's not out. I was watching. Would they show it in the cinema before releasing it? I was like, could they do that? I was like, maybe. And then they did, and I lost my mind. I was sitting there like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was so surprised.
I was, yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at Ezra Miller news. I'm sorry, I was just trying to get it for the next thing. No, I was like shocked that I don't know, in this age where everything's online first and everything leaks first, I was just really surprised I hadn't heard about it or seen it, and so it was just kind of cool to see it for the first time on the big screen.
It was, I think it's a bit of a power move. Shows that it is in fact like a really big movie that's coming out. Like, yeah, we're good enough to just not release it right away. We're going to just do it in cinemas, and then we'll release it afterwards. Very cool.
Yeah, and I'm sure there was an element of like, because the first Avatar, it was so like you have to see it in the cinema. It's such a like cinema experience. So maybe that's kind of putting that subconsciously in the minds of viewers. But what did you think overall of the trailer? I mean, there's not like a crazy amount to say.
Yeah,
it's just like
it is more
aesthetically.
teaser than a. Is it a teaser or is it just like the first trailer? 'Cause
Yeah,
it
it's a
It
teaser.
seemed like
It teased me good.
It teased me good. Honestly, I'm hyped.
It looks good.
I really like it. It looks very good. Like it looks like taking in the whole water aspect of it all. Just it gave me heavy Subnautica vibes, which is a game I've been playing, and it's so good. Yeah, like the whole like because I love the world of Avatar, but taking it underwater, I think it's gonna be a lot more like the first Avatar is already beautiful, but I think this one will be even more so, like with the underwater stuff. So I'm hyped.
Yeah, as a teaser, it basically was just going to show like sort of the vibe and the visuals, and I would say like it looks just as good as the movie from 2009, but that's not like an insult because that movie obviously looks amazing, and it looks like a very similar aesthetic and vibe, and and like the water could add like a really cool new dimension to it. I did a little bit chuckle at the end when it's like the big climactic moment, and he does burst out of the water on top of like a platypus duck thing, and I was like, huh, interesting.
Huh.
But
Okay.
but looks really good. Honestly, yeah.
It does.
I'm excited.
I'm very hyped for it.
And then last piece of news. You know we have to do it.
The rampage continues.
It is the Ezra Miller. So wait. So was he? Okay, I saw a headline that he was arrested again for spitting on someone.
Yeah.
But I can't find that. So maybe it's not. Maybe that wasn't true. But not to fear, there is more Ezra Miller news. Footage of Ezra Miller's bizarre Hawaii arrest surfaces online. Now, of course, we don't like to revel in the misfortunes of others.
I've never seen you smile wider.
But I mean,
now, of course, I don't enjoy laughing at people.
This is something I want to. Okay, Miller is heard. Okay, we can't watch the clip right now because we're recording. But Miller is heard to say, "I was assaulted in this bar twice in a row. I film myself when I get assaulted for NFT crypto art." The actor then demands the name and badge number of the officers and claims that one of the people in the bar declared himself as a Nazi. I have it on film, and he attacked me. So Ezra's on a bit of a mad one. Also, Ezra is wearing just the worst suit. Sorry, we shouldn't pile on just in this arrest video.
He may be a criminal, but what is also criminal is his fashion sense. God damn.
Reveals a violent threat. So he's trying to say he was assaulted for NFT art? I don't really know. Okay, so apparently he didn't spit on someone because I can't find that here. Because I thought that was crazy that he...
But can we just say that I laugh very hard if it's not true, then obviously it's not true. But you did send me a like from some like news thing. It was like,
Yeah.
you're like, oh my god,
He did it again.
Ezra Miller arrested for spitting on someone.
Yeah.
I guess was like,
okay.
God, what's the boy doing?
So I guess that's not true. So no fake news. But yeah, there's the arrest footage out there. I don't know. You know, it's kind of sad. It's kind of weird. I don't know what to do with it. But it's also slightly amusing.
It's the fact that
It just keeps happening.
It's the continuation of it that.
Yes.
The first time, it was so bizarre that he just burst into like someone's bedroom. Like, I found that funny. Second time, I was like, okay, that's probably a bit weird. Needs a bit of help. Third time, I was like, okay.
See, if you pulled a Barry Keoghan in hand and just were like drunk a little bit one time, we wouldn't bring it up all the time. Except we do. Sorry, Barry.
sorry, Mr. Keoghan.
Anyway, yeah, Ezra. Should we now move on to the topic of today's podcast? We're a bit late. I haven't even done my review yet because I've been, Portugaling it up and having a merry old time. But
I've been having heat strokes continuously
and sobbing my eyes out at Ryan Gosling films. But we are here today to talk about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Should we go full spoilers from the jump?
I think we should.
I would like to put out that on my Wanda Maximoff... Sorry, that was the thing I was going to say. No. On my Wanda Maximoff...
That was terrible.
On my Wanda Maximoff chronology video that I put out, the top comment with like 80 likes or something does say Wanda Maximoff, more like Wanda Maximilf. I just want to put that out there.
It sounded like you did an accidental slip up there.
I mean,
on my Wanda Maximilf. Oh my god.
I mean, Maximoff.
Maximoff. Jerk me off. Wanda, jerk me off. I mean, Maximilf.
That's just the title of the video.
It gets billions of views. It rivals Despacito. Sorry.
What a fucking lame thing to say.
I know.
Is it rivals even Despacito? Anyway, Doctor Strange, what did you think of this masterpiece film?
I won't lie. It slightly disappointed me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess I just go fuck myself then. I don't know. I think some parts of it were exactly what I was hoping for.
And some parts were very good, but I think the reason, like, I think if I came into this with no expectations, I would have liked it a lot more. But wasn't it the thing where it's like it's gonna be the most like cameos in an MCU movie, and Tony Stark is gonna be Tom Cruise? You know, like what's the deal? Where is Tommy Boy?
Yeah, I mean, I think with those expectations, it would definitely be disappointing. I think beyond that, some of it is really bad, just like as a movie. And I think some of it, I think the beginning is awful. Like the first 20 minutes or so, really, really bad. And I think then once they get sent off into the multiverse, it picks up a lot. It's more interesting. It's more creative. It has a lot of fun stuff, a lot of creative kind of horror elements. And then the ending again, bit whack, as they say, but
slightly mid.
I don't know. I think it has... Lele made a very good point that I'm definitely going to steal from my review, where he said, it feels fan-made in like the best and worst ways possible, which I can get behind, because like some parts of it I was like, this is brilliant, this is really fun and creative and different. And then some parts of it, I have to say, first things first, what I remember most about it, it has some of the most atrocious dialogue I have ever heard in an MCU movie. In a movie recently, really. And the thing that's confusing about it is some of it is clearly intentionally cheesy and over the top and goofy. Like it leans into that like B-movie horror style, like with like the zooms and the sort of like, you know, some of the like cheesy horror movie effects. And so some of the lines of dialogue are like at the end when he winks at her, like Corpse Strange winks, like that's clearly intentionally supposed to be like a goofy sort of silly moment. But then there's some unironically just
goofball moments.
I mean, so the opening scene where it's that dream with Ponytail Strange and he's like taking her powers, the dialogue, "You're killing me, we're friends." I was like, oh, that's
it's like, oh,
that's not what people say.
Also, what kind of a name is America Star or whatever her name is?
America Chavez, yeah. Which is funny that her Yeah, she had like a star. I don't have a problem with the star thing, obviously, because it's a goofy comic thing. Why do you have a star jacket if your powers are stars and you hate
that is what I.
You hate your powers.
That's what I said as well.
And your parents died from them or whatever. They went somewhere else. Also, by the way, on that scene, just little moments like that were just kind of dumb. Where it's like she's viewing her memory of her like the worst moment of her life. And she's like smiling. She's like, "It's home. Look, there are my parents." I'm like, "You know what this memory is, right?
Yeah.
You know that this ends
like,
with you.
Mom.
Like, how are you surprised? It's like this is your. Memory.
I was thinking that exact same thing. I was like, you know what's happening right here.
There was also, I just have a little list of dialogue here that I remember. There was a moment at the end where she's like, "I'm glad we met," and he just looks at her and just, I don't know. It just made me cringe very hard. Where he was like, "So am I, kid. So am I." I was like,
yeah, like the so am I. I was like,
"Don't say it again.
Come on, Steven.
That's a sayonara Sammy type of moment.
That is
hitting that goosebumps walk away.
Sayonara Sammy.
So bad bye. There was also just the line, "We'll see what kind of Doctor Strange you turn out to be," was genuinely horrific. And then, okay, the last thing I'll say on the dialogue, 2 lines in the Illuminati scene, which we'll get to. Just, I get that scene is also like over the top kind of cheesy horror movie style of a scene, but, and I get like they want to have like the cheesy like kind of over the top horror movie one-liner that she says and then like a horror thing happens, but it was so lazily done that it wasn't fun in that cheesy way. It was just bad, where John Krasinski, he says, "Black Bolt can kill you with a whisper from his mouth." Who the fuck says with a whisper from his mouth? What was it? A whisper from his ass? For a whisper from his fucking nose? That just, and then and it's obviously done so she can go, "What mouth?" And it's like, no one would ever say he could do it with a whisper from his mouth.
But imagine that. Just imagine, what if Black Boltagon's real power came from his butthole? But it's too powerful that he just obliterate the town. A slight gaseous exchange and just millions of people die.
And then also when she was fighting Captain Carter and she was like, she just very clearly, they threw it in so she could do the line where she's like, "Aren't you tired?" And she goes, "I can do this all day." And it's like, for fuck's sake.
That's not tired at all.
Yeah, like it was just so forced in, and like when they did that in Endgame, it made sense and it was sort of funny. And in this one, it was like clearly like, she should say the catchphrase so people will cheer in the cinema. Let's throw in a line that feels really out of place and forced. But anyway, what do you think overall?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say we can talk specifics like from each, like kind of going from one location to the next. I thought, the start of it, terrible. I have to say, throughout this movie, a delightful Wong.
We may have a disagreement here. I think Wong was truly awful in this movie. I hate to say it because I love Wong.
No. I will say it was everything he did was out of place and didn't really work. But it was so good.
Which sums him up so well as a character.
Which sums him up perfectly.
There's one moment.
Wong has never fit in this universe. He's just such a wild card that doesn't work. But at the same time, the fact that he doesn't work makes it work.
He also kind of feels like a different character in every movie. But also, there was one moment. There was 2 moments. One, he's doing like I can't remember what it was. He was doing like a speech to Wanda at the end and like being angry at her. And it was just, I think you've seen him in other stuff. I think he's a good actor. But it was just like really, really bad. And then there was one moment where it's during the Wanda attack on the Sanctum. And it feels like they didn't give him proper direction to like what kind of scene it was or what's happening, because his tone of voice and the way he was talking didn't fit the environment at all. Where there's just the one moment where he goes around and it just cuts to him and he yells, "Fortify your minds!" That was like one of the worst delivered lines.
It was so bad
I've ever heard.
Fortify your minds.
I was like,
you sound like Wong.
What the fuck is this Wong? Like, I don't know where that came from, but it was not good. But the first 20 minutes, like, okay, the first action scene with the big squid thing, it's fine. It's kind of silly and whatever, but it's it's okay. But the rest of it feels like they had the rest of the movie, and it feels like they had to, like, the studio wanted them to tack on this beginning where, like, to explain how we get to the other multiverses and stuff. And so... yeah. It was like the green screen was terrible when Wanda shows up to the Sanctum. The dialogue with Wanda was terrible. Her performance was really like weirdly off in that first. I think she's pretty good later on, but she's like really weirdly like off in that first bit. And there's
like, is there? I have a question. Is there like we haven't seen anything from Wanda since she like went to the farm in the end of WandaVision, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
it took me a little bit off guard. Like I know, like obviously she can become evil, but like I thought she kind of realized her mistakes at the end of it. I was like, I'm gonna live in solitude, and now she's just bad.
Yeah, there's in terms of what they did with Wanda's character, especially having just made that chronology, so I'm very up to date with Wanda's happenings and such. I thought it was. I think conceptually it's interesting to take a hero like that's something else. You know how the MCU has been able to do these interesting things where it's like, because we follow these characters for so long, you can add these like cool moments of them like teaming up, and it's very unique because of how they've built this universe with all these films tying together. And so I thought this was a new version of that, where like you take a character we followed as a hero and as a protagonist and someone we've gotten invested in, and then you turn them into a villain. That's something kind of uniquely interesting that you can do, especially with the MCU, where she's been in so many movies, she's had a TV show and all this stuff, and now she's a villain. But the way they executed it, it did feel like too much of a sharp turn from WandaVision. Where
that's exactly what I was thinking. I was saying like she went through this thing where she already turned into like a bit of a villain in WandaVision, right? At the end, she then rectifies that and it's like, okay, I realize I've hurt some people, I did something bad. I'm gonna go live, away from myself, just kind of like practicing witchcraft and just like not hurting anyone. And then immediately, like in this next one, she just freaking turns like,
I mean, she's like
so evil.
I mean, she like tortures a child to like
tortures a child.
It makes sense, I guess, but it's also because of the nature of the MCU stories because WandaVision was her story, so it has to end with her like being good at the end, and she like redeems herself. And then this one, she's the villain, so she now has to like if they'd ended WandaVision on more of an ambiguous note, where it's like more so like they end it with she hears her children, so that's like sort of hinting towards this, but they should have, I think if they'd ended that more on like she's actually not great and she's sort of disturbed and she's in a bit of a terrible place, like that would have been a more clear transition to this, where also I think they told Elizabeth Olsen like, you're a villain now, and so she just like really ramped up her like cheesiness and her like villainy.
She was very like cartoon villain.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't seem fair. And just like does not listen to reason at all. It's just like,
no, yeah, she's also a character we've sort of seen and grown with and stuff. And then like and having put together that whole video, like I know she's been through all this tragedy and all that stuff, and that's very interesting. But I feel like they took
I see your trauma,
and it's fascinating to me. But then I feel like they removed a lot of the nuance from that, and it's like, and she's just kind of crazy now. Like it's just like she technically has a motivation that you can like understand, but it's like it's not I don't know, it's not done particularly well where you don't feel like, that's a bit weirdly sharp turn. Also, if you haven't seen WandaVision for this, by the way, you're fucked. It felt almost like WandaVision 2 more than Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah, Jay, like I mean that's the kind of thing that the MCU are doing now, that if you are not like fully caught up with basically the entire MCU, just go fuck yourself, really. Like it's like, and I guess like if you're hopping on the bandwagon now, it's a bit late and you have to like catch up because so much stuff has happened, like basically, which is cool, but also like I feel like they kind of take it for granted sometimes that everyone just is completely up to date with everything that's gone on.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. It's like obviously like everyone has probably seen everything, but like WandaVision, what was that, like a year and a half ago? Like it's not exactly something that's fresh in our minds, and like everyone doesn't know to go back and watch that before going into this movie. That's
why you should watch the B.H.L. Hudson Wanda Maximoff chronology video.
Can you please, just for like 5 seconds, change it to Maximoff and then change it back? Be the ultimate meme.
I think, let's see, what do we have here? Yeah, okay, I think when they start traveling to multiverses and they travel to the like Illuminati universe and the like evil Doctor Strange, or like the corrupted Doctor Strange or whatever, and that whole scene where they travel through the multiverse and they're like paint at one point. I wish there'd been more of that. But that was incredible.
I wish there'd been more, like they'd visited more different universes.
Yes,
you know,
that's a big thing,
because that's like kind of drawing parallels with Spider-Man. That's the kind of fun thing where it's like it took different villains from so many different, I mean like many different universes. You know, like all 3 different movies from different directors. Here they just kind of like went through like a 1-minute montage of going through different realities, and then they ended up in one where they basically stayed the entire time.
Yeah, I think the first movie has that scene where the Ancient One like pushes him through other dimensions and it's crazy and all that stuff, and then I thought this movie was going to have more of that, like even maybe just like a couple more scenes like that where it's like every time they transition between universes you do another thing where it's just like That would have been fun, you know what I mean? And yeah, to also stay, I get that you don't want to make it like a 4-hour long movie or whatever, but like maybe to stay in a couple different multiverses more than they did. Like they went to basically 2 different universes, I think. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's more you could have maybe done with this premise.
Question: the what's his name? I forget the guy. His old training partner.
Mordo
/ friend Mordo. When is it revealed in the other movie that he turned bad?
It's not. It's in the post credits, but it's not like he says it like, yeah, he's been my arch nemesis, whatever. And it's like, you guys were friends, and then he was like mad at you at the end, and then they hint towards him turning evil in the post credit scene of a film that came out 6 years ago, and we haven't seen him since. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is like
exactly.
That's they almost kind of play to that, like, surely people haven't seen all of these, because I think they assume like the audience member would be like, oh, I must have missed that part in one of the movies or shows or something. But we miss nothing here.
Should we talk about the Illuminati?
Sure, let's do it. What did you think of? I mean, obviously, in a No Way Home kind of way, very fun and cool to see these characters.
To see the Stewart particularly.
Yeah, I think it's because we've gotten a lot of these kind of moments lately that it doesn't hit me as hard, and because it was also like so rumored and even confirmed in one of the trailers that Stewart would be in it, that I was just kind of like, yeah, like that's. I wasn't like, it wasn't like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield where it was like, wow, that's a really big. Crazy thing, at least to me. I was like, oh, that's cool, like, but it didn't really blow me away. So we had Captain Carter. No, it did blow me. It was very cool. What am I saying? It was very cool. We had Captain Carter, Captain Marvel, but it's her friend whose name I can't remember, Marion, I think. Blackagar Boltagon,
Blackagar Boltagon.
That was the one that got me the most. I'm not even kidding, because I was like, no way they got the fucking guy from that TV show, and they got the guy from the TV show. That was so funny.
They got Blackagar.
They got.
Can I just say,
from the worst Marvel thing ever created, they got that guy back. That's hilarious.
Can I just say, possibly the most. Actually, we'll talk about their deaths afterwards, but yeah, we'll talk about it afterwards, and then Krasinski.
Now, a little fun trivia thing. Apparently, they were going to get another actor in, and Krasinski only did it because the other actor couldn't do it for COVID stuff. Now, do you know who the other actor was that they allegedly wanted?
Is it not Gruffafoot?
No. That would have been... I honestly... No offense, Krasinski. I would have loved it much more if it was Gruffafoot.
I would have loved it so much more if Gruffafoot showed up.
It was, in fact, Daniel Craig.
What?
Strange choice, right? Doesn't fit at all.
Possibly the least elastic man I've ever seen.
He's such a he's more of the Thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, and we have Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, which obviously cool.
Fun.
And fun that they played to the rumor that he was going to be for a while. And we have Krasinski in the MCU. However, I will say, like, Krasinski's a good actor, but
but not in this.
Well, maybe it's my fault for being such a Krasinski lover, but like, I only saw Krasinski, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't feel like a character. He felt like John Krasinski in like a costume, you know what I mean?
It was like John Krasinski was just like, oh, I'm gonna put on my Mr. Fantastic outfit today.
Yeah. And then I get to be split into a bunch of little noodles.
Yeah, let's talk about their fight scene there.
Okay, so we've established Whisper from his mouth is dumb. Okay, go on.
Possibly the most, not disturbing, but like the most gruesome death I've ever seen in a Marvel movie, when Blackagar Boltagon fries his own brain.
Yeah, he like explodes his own. Yeah, that was
and
intense.
then, like, you see his eyes go bloodshot red and his like mind, like his brain melt. I was like, that's some dark shit.
That is.
I loved it. I laughed with like horror. I was like, oh my fucking god.
That was a shocker. It was definitely not as much for kids as a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
Also, there was something else that happened that was like, I guess also just like the Book of the Damned stuff with those like ghouls and all that stuff. That was a little bit like horrorish, but definitely Black Bolt's death with his own like brain imploding. Just like it wasn't like exploding. It was just on the side where just like and it just like collapsed in on itself.
It was just like it was like a wet balloon just.
Yes, very good. And then Krasinski gets noodleified.
Krasinski turns into a fine fettuccine.
I thought it was very dumb that Captain Carter survived second longest of all of them.
Yeah,
that's the kind
Captain
of thing. It's like they play with the power dynamics where it's like so she can just like erase Black Bolt's mouth and he like explodes his own brain. How about you just like turn Captain Carter into, prosciutto? You know what I mean? Just like
just turn her into a very fine freaking tortellini.
a Parmesan cheese. You know what I mean?
Turn her into a bit of gazpacho.
Imagine if just for some reason she just turns them all into like Italian themed cuisine dishes. Like, why?
It's so good. You just look over at Captain Carter. Boom, margarita.
Just the new Captain Marvel, just a delicious pepperoni pizza. But yeah,
Black Guard fries his own brain. You look over. There's just a dinner table with the rest of them as food.
Black Bolt's brain turns into a fine Alfredo sauce. That was gross.
Very good. A fine. I feel like that's a thing that a lot of supervillains do in fairness. Like Thanos also did that, where like you could legit turn anyone into anything. Why don't you?
Yeah, but the thing about Thanos is he wasn't trying to kill them. Like he was trying to like get the stone. Like at the end when he like is fighting Captain America, he clearly could have vaporized him instantly. But he was just trying to. At least that character had a motivation where he's not aiming for death. He wants to achieve his goal. Here she was trying to kill them. Like you could have done it so easily, you know what I mean? Instead of like, are you tired?
So
I can do this all day. But still a cool scene and like
It was a cool scene.
A cool, fun thing to see. Also, like that whole world felt like weird and kind of like Star Trek, Doctor Who-ish, like sort of just like.
It was very just like
weird,
passing by a universe and messing it up and then leaving.
Yeah. Also, Patrick Stewart's death, pretty good. A neck snapperoo.
I'll also say the death of Captain Marvel, found very stupid, kind of bullshit. Like
she just gets crushed or something.
Like. Just crushed by a statue, but Captain Marvel can fly through freaking Thanos' massive metal spaceship.
Yes,
totally fine.
And
then,
go ahead, sorry.
Like, and then, like she's crushed by like, I mean, I guess it might kill me, but a somewhat relatively small boulder for someone like Captain Marvel, and just crushed. It's like, it's kind of just embarrassing.
Yeah, she did like the And what if they showed Captain Marvel like flying through a planet's core and all this shit? And it's like,
yeah, but if you can do that, why can't you take a little damage from a freaking
yeah. But then Captain. Also, yeah, that's the thing. Again about Wanda, that I like that they made her this, especially when she's chasing them. Like she's this like B horror movie villain, like covered in blood, and she's like moving all weird, and the camera's tilting, all this stuff. But also, it doesn't really work for her character. Like if she really just wanted her kids, she wouldn't like brutally murder these people in a way that like. Is also, again, if she wanted to, like, painlessly kill them, like, she could, but she, like, kills Captain Carter with her shield, and she blows up Black Bolt's head with his own powers or whatever. Like, you wouldn't do that if you were just...
She turns Krasinski into Linguini. That moment made me laugh quite a bit, because it doesn't actually seem like he's in pain. He's just like, genuinely confused by what's happening. He's like, why do I look so delicious?
Yeah, I don't know, yeah, I thought that whole thing... I mean, I think in general, besides the terrible green screen early on with Wanda, the visual effects are great throughout, and it's, like, good set design and all this, and it's fun to go to these worlds, and again, it picks up with when the multiverse stuff happens. Like, we've talked about a lot of dumb stuff and stuff we didn't like. Generally, I did enjoy it, and I thought the horror stuff was fun. The musical fight was very enjoyable. They fight with music notes. But it's just, yeah, it's a very, very, very dumb movie that has, like, that's generally enjoyable, and it just has, like, a few things throughout. Also, just, like, things of, exposition, and, like, especially at the start, like, lots of awful exposition, just, like, it feels sort of choppy, and...
Yeah, I'll say, also the whole, like, the different, like, magical books and stuff like that, I wasn't that gripped by it. Like, there's the whole, like, whatever book Wanda was using, like they need to get that one. But then they went for like an even more powerful book that was just immediately like vaporized.
Yeah.
I just like that was like I felt like that was like the plot of what they were trying to get to, and like that was like the whole thing. And then it's just destroyed, and then they immediately just forget about it and go for another thing. It's like it didn't seem like that important then if you
I also another stupid moment that I found when he's confronting weird Doctor Strange, and he's like, how do I know you're really me? And he's like, our sister drowned in the ice and we couldn't save her and whatever. And he's like, oh, that checks out. You're in another fucking universe. What are the odds There was a universe where you were like Paint. You know what I mean? What are the odds you also had a sister who died in the exact same way in this universe? You know what I mean? I was just like, fuck off.
Like, fuck off, Steven.
I yelled that at the screen.
Politely? Fuck off, Steven.
The grumpiest film reviewer. I mean, if you have anything
generally
else,
a pretty good movie. What do you think of the ending?
I mean, again, the whole like it ends with, you know, you think he's happy, and then there's like a horror-ish twist, and it's kind of a big goofy moment. Again, that sort of Sam Raimi horror movie style. Like, I didn't mind that. You know, it was sort of it felt like, you know, at least intentional, unlike some of the other stuff in the film. The post-credit scene I thought was awful.
Can I say that the special effects of the third eye, terrible. Genuinely awful. I thought it was so bad. It looked so fake. It looked like a Snapchat filter. It looked like...
I think they like... It's funny because they could do it differently, so I think they did that intentionally, but it does look... It
just looks awful.
Fake and weird.
I
thought post-credits were terrible.
Post-credits, the worst post-credits I've ever seen. Like, one is just... like, I think, at least for me, I like the post-credits hinting at something like maybe another movie, like not the next Doctor Strange, you know, like hinting at something else, like maybe, I don't know, I can't think of anything, like maybe like bring Kit Harington's Eternals character into it or something like that, you know, like just hint at a different part of the MCU, not that a complete continuation of what we just seen. Like we've seen enough multiverse shit now. Let's get to something else. And then the second one, I was just freaking annoyed by it. I was like, sit through the entire credits and it's like, it's over now. It's like,
I mean, that was because that guy is also famous and he's like sort of in all of Sam Raimi's movies, Bruce Campbell. So I think that's why that was that. But yeah, the first one, and it also just felt because the movie ended on like a cliffhanger, I guess, and then the post-credit scene picks up immediately after that. It's sort of, and like it doesn't really. It's like, oh, okay, so I guess it's fine. And also,
I guess you're okay with your third eye.
There are a lot of like memes or tweets about like post-credit scenes where it's like Marvel movies really. Like, Marvel fans really wait through the credits just to see someone go, "Hi, my name is Bing Bong," and then the movie ends. And it's never felt more accurate than this one, where it's literally like a character we've never seen in the film. She's a character from the comic who, like, they end up getting married or something. It's like, okay, but it doesn't have any... I feel like all the other ones have, like, something, even in the movies world, is interesting, where it's like, you see Nick Fury show up, and, you know, if you know the comics, you're like, the Avengers or whatever, but if you're just watching the movie, you're like, okay, like... Samuel Jackson's here, like that's pretty cool. What's he's talking about a team, like that could be interesting. Like this one's just literally like, I'm a character from a comic. My name's Bing Bong. I'm a space princess, and let's go to the multiverse.
You caused a rift or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's like okay, great. I don't know. Like, we've complained a lot about this movie. I did enjoy it overall, but it was just
I liked it overall. I think I gave it like. But I think I gave it. It sounds like I have some official movie review. I think as I walked out the cinema, I think I gave it a 7.
Yeah, I'd give it a 7. Like it was maybe like a 7.4 because I do love my decimals. Like it was fun and creative in points and like generally interesting. It's a good movie to talk about. I guess it's a good podcast movie.
It is a good podcast. Unlike movie. I would not watch it again recently or like in the coming weeks/months.
No, I'd watch scenes that I liked. Mainly the Wong "Fortify Your Minds" moment. I can't describe it. It just sounded so not fitting for that scene. But yeah, overall, a good dish of an enjoyable watch, I guess, but definitely an extremely flawed movie. And I would say disappointing. I was expecting it to be like just a good movie, and I think like expecting it to be what the middle part was for all of it, and it wasn't.
Yeah, and I think coming down from the high of Spider-Man Home or No Way Home. No, is that No Way Home?
Yeah, No
Way
Way
Home.
Home.
Most recent one, right? Coming down from like, because I'd say this movie's been hyped a lot, and coming down from like the hype that was promised in Spider-Man to this one where there's not as much hype, but almost equally as much like hype about the movie.
Yeah.
To then not getting that payoff as you got in the other one, it was like I very much like compared the two. I was like, oh, this is way worse than Spider-Man.
Yeah, and of course there's an element of like the cameo expectations, which you can't put on the movie. You know, that's just like internet stuff. No,
exactly.
But I would say also, just as a movie, No Way Home was much more, also like silly and at dumb moments, but also just much more like emotionally satisfying and interesting and well done. Anyway, that's our thoughts on Mr. Doctor. Hopefully my review will be coming sometime soon. We shall see. Now it's time for...
the Cnews.
We actually have two pieces of pretty good Tom Cnews, so I'll save one for next week because this one's more time relevant. This from The Mirror, the Irish Mirror. ITV viewers fume as Queen's Platinum Jubilee special turns, quote, turns into the Tom Cruise show.
Okay.
So apparently Tom Cruise was on, as we talked about before, and they talked about his movies, and he promoted his upcoming Top Gun Maverick film, and apparently ITV viewers were not happy. Taking to Twitter, one viewer fumed, "Isn't this program meant to be about the Queen's Jubilee? So why are we spending 15 plus minutes talking about Tom Cruise, talking about his movies?" Another agreed, "ITV, it's more like the Tom Cruise show." As a third said, "Is this the hashtag Queen's Jubilee celebration or the Tom Cruise show? For fuck's sake, get him off." So yeah, apparently Tom Cruise, in the eyes of ITV viewers, hijacked the Queen's Jubilee, which I would say good, probably made it more interesting. Also, that
made it a lot better. I cannot think of anything more boring than watching the Queen's Jubilee.
Also, saying he hijacked it sounds like he violently overtook it by force, which he probably did. I didn't watch. So yeah, that's the Cnewsery for this week. And then we have a few announcements and such because we have been away for a little while. I will say once again, the stories on the pod fan page and the what's it called?
Out of context?
Out of context, very delightful. So just hit the follows on those. I haven't checked my messages in a little while, and my emails, so I'm sorry. We'll get to those soon. But for now, let's just see what I have written down. Cian on Twitter tagging us in something. Where was this? What did he tag us in? Oh yes, the Sony Pictures put out a Morbius ad on Mother's Day of Milo dancing shirtless, and it says, "To all the moms who prefer action over flowers, whoever runs the Sony..." Oh goodness. Oh, I just saw... I swear to you, this is a real tweet from Sony Pictures. "Flowers, brunch, Morbius on digital May 17th. Hashtag moms for Morbius." That's so deeply upsetting, I can't even describe it. And then it's accompanied by a video of Milo dancing. I want to die looking at this.
Goodness me, that is genuinely terrifying.
Then, let's see.
Oh, that's gross to think about.
Oh shit, we're at 1 hour 20. Okay, we'll go through comments next time, I'm sorry. Real quick, fan page, there was a very delightful, another Moon Knight meme of when you decide to turn on the Poorly Planned podcast, and it's Steven saying, "I like the sound of that. Very good." Then
very good, Steven.
The pod is monetized. It is indeed. Let's go. Happy 5-year and 2 days anniversary. And Cian writes, "Here's to 5 more and 5 only." Pretty threatening, but I appreciate the celebration. Also, Josie says, "For this special day, BHL should allow Freddy's anime hour to be 5 hours long for one episode." Again, I would rather go moms for Morbius. And then finally, an excellent video. POV, BHL Hudson has possessed your body. And it's Cian opening a door and kicking a can, which I really enjoyed thoroughly. Yeah, that's that. Okay, yeah, so we'll go through comments next time, because we have gone way over time here. Long-ass pod. But, making up for the last two, because they were under an hour. So, hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell button, leave a comment
Bell bottoms!
on what you thought of Doctor Strange 2 and the other stuff we talked about, and the pod down below. Also, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, we're there as well as YouTube. Hit the 5 stars, leave a nice review, follow, and tell your friends about the show. Give it some love. You can find me on YouTube, BHL Hudson, Instagram, Twitter, BHL_Hudson. You can email the pod at bhlhudsonvids@gmail.com.
You can find me on Twitter at FDK_DaltSniper. You can find me on Instagram at Fidalgard. And you can find me on YouTube at FDK Space Gaming.
Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Wanda Maximoff.